So now it's my pleasure to introduce Inspector General Daniel W. Lucas. Back in 2014, Inspector General Lucas was nominated by then-Mayor Vincent Gray and confirmed by Council for a 6-year term. As the Inspector General, he is responsible for providing leadership, coordinating and recommending policies for activities designed to promote economy, efficiency, and effectiveness, and to prevent and detect corruption, fraud, waste, and abuse in district programs and operations. Previously, Inspector General Lucas served as the Deputy Inspector General for the Naval Sea Systems Command, providing oversight to an agency with an annual budget of over $30 billion and oversight of 56,000 military, civilian, and contractors. Inspector General Lucas is also a decorated Navy veteran with a distinguished career spanning 26 years. He is a certified Inspector General and a certified fraud examiner. And with that, I'd like to introduce Inspector General Lucas.
Thank you, Matt. Every time I see that video, what I get is not what the OIG is about. It's more about what everyone sitting in this room is all about. Today, I want you to sit back, relax, immerse yourselves in what we're going to be providing for you, because this is probably going to be the easiest thing you'll do all week. And with that, let me thank you all for being here. As you can see from the agenda, the day is filled with a mixture of speakers and panels that will all highlight unique perspectives on oversight within the District of Columbia. But before we discuss issues pertaining to the district, we are fortunate to hear from Dr. Kelly Richmond Pope, whose work includes a study of a $53 million embezzlement scheme committed by a single government employee occurring in a town of 15,000 in rural Illinois. This postmortem can serve as an investigative example for any municipality, including the District of Columbia. Today's presentations are not about any one agency. The issues we discuss are whole of government issues that we all must face on a collective basis. I encourage you to think about the issues discussed and reconcile them against your daily operations within your own agencies. There will be several opportunities during today's presentations to ask questions, and in this venue, no question is a bad question. Anything we can do to help you think and eventually apply new and revised oversight principles is a win in my book. There's a central thing to today: to build capacity in the district's oversight environment. Oversight, like internal controls, is everyone's responsibility. Agency directors in today's audience have the privilege of leading their organizations. They have been entrusted to determine how and on what district taxpayers' monies are spent on. They face tough decisions on a daily basis about where to apply their finite resources. Agency oversight practitioners help agency leaders by delivering facts to help guide their decisions. Practitioners have a deeper understanding of their respective operations. They can discover and mediate issues more quickly and provide leaders with facts to help guide their agencies. Agencies' directors should be reliant on their internal oversight practitioners to help inform their decisions. As I shared with you in my emails, the goals for this symposium are threefold. First, we're all together to facilitate a shared understanding of oversight responsibilities in the district. Oversight does not merely occur as a result of a council hearing or a visit from your friendly OIG or district auditor. Oversight is a daily responsibility for all district employees. With this shared understanding of our collective and individual oversight responsibilities, we can do more to maximize the efficiency and effectiveness and delivery of value to district residents. The second goal of this symposium is to create a synergetic oversight environment such that leadership, internal oversight, external oversight entities are working as a collaborative system. In district government, everyone is responsible for at least two things: achieving a particular mission and maintaining the public trust. The first responsibility focuses on what you do to support the delivery of goods and services to district residents. The second responsibility deals with placing loyalty to the Constitution, laws, and ethical principles above private gain, and not holding financial interests that conflict with the conscientious performance of your fiduciary duties. All district employees share these responsibilities. If we all accept this premise, then it would seem that we're all, in fact, on the same team. No matter if you're an agency head, an internal oversight practitioner, an external oversight, or an external oversight entity. The third and final goal of this symposium is to build oversight capacity within the district. The OIG, the district auditor, and BEGA can't maintain complete vigilance over the district's 30,000 employees and $15 billion budget. To do so, we need 10 times the staffing and resources. And believe me, I'm 0 for 4 in budget enhancement requests. Therefore, we must be selective on where we focus our time and resources. We must partner with agencies to ensure the best for the district and its residents. This is why we need to build oversight capacity within the district. After spending the better part of 5 years as the district's Inspector General, I obtained a healthy appreciation for the hard work that men and women do on behalf of our constituents. But there is room for improvement, room to shift the paradigm from the traditional way we view oversight. Ordinarily, we view oversight as someone coming to ensure an agency is complying with laws, rules, and regulations. But I would submit that there is a different way to view oversight, a view that will allow us to expand our capacity to deliver more to the district residents. But how do we do this? Of course, we have the traditional oversight functions. The district auditor supports the council of the district by making sound recommendations that improve the effectiveness, efficiency, and accountability of the district. BEGA investigates alleged ethics violations by district government employees and public officials, provide binding ethics advice, and conducts mandatory training on the district's code of conduct. And we have my favorite, the OIG, whose mission is to audit, inspect, and investigate matters pertaining to the District of Columbia government in order to prevent and detect corruption, mismanagement, waste, fraud, and abuse, and promote economy, efficiency, effectiveness, and accountability. But we're only 3 district agencies with a collective staffing of about 150 employees. We physically cannot get to all the complex issues and risks facing the District of Columbia. This is where agency leaders and internal oversight practitioners come into play. Earlier this year, I sent an email to agency directors asking for their teams to respond to a quick survey. The purpose of this survey was to determine who out there is providing oversight in their respective organizations. This information is helpful to my office as issues that come into my hotline are sometimes most addressed right at the local level. After all, district leaders and their oversight practitioners are closest to the issues at hand and should have the first opportunity to address any deficiencies before an external partner engages. Additionally, knowing that an agency has an internal oversight function may mean the OIG is less likely to pay you a visit in the form of an audit or an inspection, which is certainly not a bad thing. In reality, relationships that may have existed previously, where external oversight and district agencies are at odds with one another, did more harm than good. If we can collectively agree that at the end of the day, we are all here to do what's right for the district and its residents, that'll be a good day, and the results will speak for themselves. When I envisioned this symposium, it was on the presumption that the vast majority of district employees come to work each and every day to do what is in the best interest of taxpayers. However, there are some who are overwhelmed and resort to cutting corners just to get the job done, not realizing that the processes they are undermining are in place to mitigate costly errors. Then there are those who exploit weaknesses in the internal control system for their own individual benefit. While those are few and far between, their occurrence can result in large monetary loss, damage to reputations, and a diminished confidence in government. Over the past 4 years, my office has identified over $126 million in recoveries, restitution, and questioned costs, and have had 52 criminal convictions. Most assuredly, the district auditor and Bega can highlight similar results. Through this work, I have been struck by how simple the solution is to build greater capacity. The solution is grounded in doing our work within an operational framework that gives reasonable assurance that we will achieve our mission, our finances will be in order, and will mitigate fraud, waste, and abuse. I'm sure some of you have picked up on the fact that I am talking about the GAO's internal control framework. While not a requirement of district government, it provides a useful framework for those who want to build greater capacity to get the job done. Unfortunately, some believe they don't have time to design a system of controls because there's simply too much work to do. I would argue that if you make time, you'll have time, particularly when the time invested is in your agency's future success. Simply put, sometimes you have to slow down to speed up. According to the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, the typical fraud goes undetected for about 16 months. However, when effective internal controls are in place, that number is reduced to 5 months. To put this in perspective, consider the case of John, the benefits manager. John was a long-time benefits manager whose job it was to review benefit requests and award appropriate amounts. John had figured out the internal controls put in place to detect improper conduct were not being monitored. So he devised a scheme to embezzle $1,500 a week from the program through the use of a ghost beneficiary. John was able to run his scheme for 18 months and pocketing $108,000. Now, had the agency been monitoring its internal controls, it could have been different. It could have been the difference between losing $30,000 as opposed to $108,000. That amounts to $78,000 that could have been used for its intended purpose, and that purpose is not to line John's pockets. Agency directors, can you imagine a situation similar to John, but instead, your staff telling you that an employee has embezzled over $100,000, your team caught the actions early on, and the loss to the district was only that of John's employment. This is something that should be happening as a matter of course. The fact is, there is only so much money to provide goods and services to district residents. When we can focus those resources in an efficient and economic manner, there is an opportunity to do more with what we have. Imagine being able to sleep at night without worrying about who might be leveraging their government positions to personally enrich themselves and others. While it is a stretch to think that we can collectively eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse in the district, there are certainly opportunities to reduce the risk through building oversight capacity. Bottom line is, we are one government. Whose job is it anyway to assure good government and make sure tax dollars are not stolen, misspent, or otherwise being used for illegal or improper purposes? Is the answer to this question oversight agencies, the executive, the council? No, it's in fact all of these entities. With a little help from our constituents and the press, we can serve as a powerful force to drive good government. If you're responsible for something, you need to make sure your program, processes, and activities are aligned to your mission, such that you have reasonable assurance you'll achieve your goals. Implementing a system of internal controls can help you obtain that assurance. Building capacity puts us in a position to do more by undermining programs, processes, and activities that are not delivering value for the district. How many times have you thought, if I had more budget authority, I can do everything that I need to do? But how often do you ask, why does this process cost so much to perform? Or why am I not getting the outcomes that I'm looking for? Chances are, there is no rational explanation other than that's the way it's always been. I want to share a recent story exemplifying oversight capacity building in the district. I'm not going to talk about the who's of the story, just the hows and the whats. This past summer, I had a call from an agency head. The agency head had some concerns because they had an employee who abruptly left. No one understood why. By the way, I'm always happy to get calls from agency heads or anyone else that just wants to chat. I call that building capacity. Luckily, the agency head was able to turn to their internal oversight practitioner to determine what this individual was up to and why they abruptly left district employment. Through the initial review by the agency's oversight practitioners, they were able to determine that there was an issue, and it was a big one. But they didn't know just how big. Luckily, your friendly OIG answered the call, and we were able to work collectively to root out the issue. From that initial call, my office and the agency partnered to look into the matter. My data analytics group was able to work through a massive amount of data provided by the agency to determine the magnitude of the issue. We knew it wasn't a matter that could be addressed through administrative remedy. As such, my office's special agents began to conduct an investigation into these two individuals. All along the way, we had the support of the agency director and the help of the agency's internal oversight to understand the subtle nuances of how the agency worked. It also allowed us to get information more quickly and ultimately help build a criminal case against these two former employees. This is what I'm talking about when I say building oversight capacity. Everyone was working together for a common goal, and to get these bad guys. As a result of this collective effort, I am pleased to say that in less than a year, we went from discovering some anomalies in an IT system to two individuals being sentenced for their involvement in two separate schemes defrauding the district of $1.8 million. But that's not the end of the story. The fact was the controls within the agency needed some improvement. Remember how the Association for Certified Fraud Examiners said that internal controls that are in place and operating as intended can reduce the time to detect fraud by 2/3. Imagine if the control system within this agency was such that they were able to detect the fraud more quickly and reduce the loss by over $1 million. The agency recognized that there was a need to address the underlying causes that contributed to these two individuals stealing this money. When I talk about the need for strong internal controls, it's not just to have something to recommend to you at the conclusion of an audit. Rather, controls are the mechanism that can help your agencies combat fraud and the waste of resources and abuse of authority. Over this period, my office partnered with this agency to conduct an assessment of its internal control systems. And currently, we're in the process of reporting our findings to the agency. While there were 2 frauds committed against the district and resources were misappropriated, the agency will be in a much better position to address these risks going forward due to strengthened internal controls. The agency would not be in this better place in this place that it is now without the idea of capacity building within the district. District agency leaders and oversight practitioners, there's much that you can learn from seeking out information that's literally at your fingertips. For example, my office puts press releases on our website whenever there's a judicial outcome, an indictment or sentencing. Generally speaking, these press releases discuss a particular fraud or corruption scheme that occur within the district government. You can learn from these and use them as a guide to assess your own internal functions. Likewise, BEGA publishes dispositions from its ethics investigations. The district auditor also publishes its reports. And while they are generally issued to a specific agency, there's much to be gleaned from the conditions discovered and the recommendations offered. Building capacity is not limited to joint investigations or partnering on evaluations. It can be something as simple as a quick research, reading the latest reports, or picking up the phone and making a call to discuss an issue. Remember, I like calls. In conclusion, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder today and down the road. Providing oversight of district operations is everyone's responsibility, and we should all view ourselves as the first and last line of defense working together to maximize our capacity to serve our constituents. After all, the cost of good government is continued vigilance. Let's build the capacity to do more. Thank you.